I've never made a video essay before, but I just watched the movie Sketch, and I need to talk about it, okay? That is to say, please watch the movie before watching this. It just came out. Actually, the official release date is August 6th, and I was at the premiere on August 4th, and I'm not sure how long this video is going to take to make because I am a procrastinator. In the spirit of sketching, though, since I'm supposed to be an art channel and I'm not sure how copyright works, I'll just be drawing commissions in the background of talking about this movie. I'm going to start with a synopsis of the movie before getting into my thoughts on the themes and motifs, alongside with my own personal opinions on some things. Nothing bad, mind you. Also, this is not sponsored or anything. I watched the movie and I was like, wow, holy fuck, this is great! So yeah, please go support this movie because I think it is genuinely very good. And if I had to give some, basic thoughts about it, it's a little cringe sometimes, but that's because this is a movie about kids. And kids are cringe and annoying and weird. And all of the CGI and the drawings in this movie also look very childlike, and that is the whole point, and I think that's great. And yeah, I almost cried at the end of it, but unfortunately I'm too dehydrated to actually cry, so I was just kind of, emotionally frowning, but not because it was bad, because I was like, wow, this is so awesome. Thumbs up. I'm going to start the synopsis now, so if you haven't watched it, again, please go do that. Support creators. Thumbs up. Yeah. Heart emoji. The story starts honestly a little slow, at least in my mom's opinion, but I find the beginning of a story to always be a little boring, and my mom's taste is questionable for this genre, since all she watches is K-dramas, but that's besides the point. I think the movie is supposed to start like that, it's supposed to be like that. A little boring, a normal school day, kids doing stupid stuff, the usual. The movie starts mundanely with a girl who we find to be named Amber Wyatt, sketching in her notebook. Another child who takes an interest takes the drawing and is shocked by what she drew, but it's really none of his business. We find it's a messy sketch of a humanoid creature stabbing said kid very hard in the stomach. Important distinction that no, actually, I'm not gonna say that. A school psychologist asks some questions about it after the kid on the bus, Bowman, tells a teacher. But the psychologist tells Amber that it's a good way to get her feelings out and hands her a notebook with a cat on it. Meow. I love meowing. Her father, Taylor Wyatt, is still very concerned about her. I'm gonna spoil a little something we learn in a bit, obviously. You see, he just lost his wife, his children's mother. Amber has been acting out after her death, at least that's what we're told, but we're never actually shown her doing anything without provocation. Taylor's other kid, his son Jack Wyatt, is seemingly taking it much better, going on walks on the forest path near his house that his mother used to frequent. He's also trying his best to cheer up his little sister, who finds him overbearing. I'm sure my little sister would find me overbearing too, but that's just because I love her and she's my baby. Anyways, the kids have excellent banter, by the way, using words like covenant for dramatic effect and to confuse/annoy their father. They're around 9 to 12, I believe, just going off the kids I'm around. Eventually, while Jack is walking through the woods, his father texts him to come home. When texting back, he falls, scratching his hand and dropping his phone. When fishing his phone out of a nearby pond, ouch. Oh god, I just know he was thinking, oh no. I don't think we have rice at home. My bad. He realizes the cracks on his phone are no longer there. He rushes back home, and thank God he does, because they're having pizza! Hell yeah! His father has given him the special plate. Ooh. Which Jack very correctly mentions should not be used, as it's not a special occasion, and that using it so sparingly diminishes the specialty of the occasions on which it should be used. So real, Jack. So real. Taylor brushes this off, and they all sit down to eat some pizza. And this is just a nitpick. The pizza's not too shiny, so that's how I know it's cold, at least from my experience. Anyways, the kids then discuss whether or not they're orphans or bastards, as they only have one parent. They're maternal orphans, by the way. And when Amber smashes the words together into Morphins, Jack makes a Mighty Morphins Power Rangers joke. Good choice. Amazing taste, Jack, by the way. Which angers Amber, who slaps his hands down after telling him to stop multiple times, hitting the special plate and shattering it. The two kids leave the dinner table, one after the other, both obviously very upset. Before Jack leaves, though, he talks about fixing it with his father, to which his father, overwhelmed with his wife's death and worry over Amber's emotional state, tells him there's no fixing it, no bringing it back to the way it was, explicitly referring to the plate in the moment, but we all know it's about how uncertain their lives are right now. While on the floor, picking up the pieces of the plate, he remembers a moment where he was in a similar situation to this one, where he was busy doing something and told the kids to go ask their mother about whatever it was they were asking about. We see a glimpse of the mother, a beautiful blonde woman we learn has a tattoo of a butterfly. Something else Amber has been drawing, at least when she's not creating Stabby McStabberson monsters. Did I mention she really likes monsters that stab people? She would love creepypasta. And she lives by the woods, actually. No. Stabbing and children and creepypasta are a bad mix. There is a real-life example of how bad this combo is. My bad. Anyway, Taylor, very clearly distraught, continues to pick up the pieces, which we will be getting back to in the video. If you see the connection, you understand why. It's kind of obvious. If you remember from earlier, Jack's phone was fixed after being dropped into the very suspiciously blue pond. Like, the water is very blue. Like, food dye and water blue. Not an actual criticism, by the way. I just found it very funny. Oh, and the pond is magic. Again, obviously. His hand is also healed, something that gives him an idea that he executes after dinner and after bed, where he takes the shattered special plate and dips it into the water, mending the broken porcelain. We don't actually see this, I don't think. I have a terrible memory and I'm coming down from viral bronchitis, so please do forgive me. But something else we do see is Amber leaving her notebook at home and asking her dad to promise not to look through her sketches. This is while they're leaving to go to school. After some funny banter, noted before, with the kids asking their dad to give his covenant that he won't look through the sketchbook, we meet the absolute most gorgeous woman I have ever seen. Oh my god. She's so beautiful. Okay? Like, I was in awe. I saw her and I was like, wow. She's so fine. Anyways, that aside, this is Taylor's sister, Liz, played by, I really hope I'm pronouncing this right, Darcy Carden. It's Darcy, with a, I'm forgetting the word, apostrophe, and then RC. I think that's right. A real estate agent who is trying her best to help her distraught brother sell his house. Something that she very correctly thinks is something he's just doing out of grief and not actually because he wants to sell. She brings this up when he pauses after jokingly asking him if he actually wants to sell the house, since he isn't doing a very good job at getting ready to move. When bringing the personal belongings out of the house for a showing, he accidentally spills coffee on Amber's notebook, literally right after he has a little moment about being curious about how she's feeling, but respecting her privacy. And I just know that has got to be the worst feeling ever as a parent, to promise your kid something and then something happens and you can't follow through. Oh, it's awful. I wouldn't know, I'm not a parent. But again, I am an older sibling, so I do somewhat understand the feeling. Interrupting the showing, very much so to Liz's chagrin. Damn, I can't speak. He bursts into the house and frantically grabs paper towels. When that isn't enough, he goes to his bedroom, taking a packed suitcase off the shelf full of his belongings and going to grab a hairdryer. He pauses once again when he sees a wooden box stored in the same suitcase, but snaps out of it to try and dry the spill in Amber's notebook. But he's so lost in thought that he burns himself, dropping the notebook and hairdryer, which blows the notebook open, briefly flashing glimpses of every morbid drawing Amber has made. This alarms him since, 1, he didn't want to see them, 2, even if he did want to see him, he gave his covenant that he would not peek. And 3, his daughter is really into monsters that stab people. At the same time on the bus, Jack tries to give Amber his notebook and pen, saying that he doesn't mind what she draws. After much insistence, Amber frustratedly takes the items and throws them out of the window of the bus. Some funny comments from the bus driver and Bowman give us some context on the relationships on this bus route. The bus driver is tired of the kids' constant bickering, and Bowman is the #1 rage baiter. Real. So, this is me coming to a realization here. My memory of the exact order of events in the movie is definitely not the best because I already have a terrible memory and I'm also recovering from viral bronchitis. So please, do not take my word for this. And again, go watch the movie. I do appreciate your patience though. This is just me rambling about how much I love the movie, actually. Actually, no, this is just the synopsis part. And then we get into the rambling. But I'm just letting you know that this is where my memory of the movie gets especially foggy. So please be patient with me and go watch the movie. After school, when the kids get home, Jack, and a very older sibling TM, Move, tells Taylor that Amber got in trouble again. By the way, that's not me saying that's very older sibling TM of him. As an older sibling, that's me saying it as a younger sibling, because I am a middle child. Love. Taylor takes away Amber's art supplies, but later on finds her drawing, where she admits that she found chalk in the closet. She doesn't make an excuse or fight him about it when he takes the chalk away. I don't remember when, but he also apologizes to Amber about looking through her notebook when she finds it with coffee stains. In a bittersweet father-daughter bonding moment, he shows her that he kept every drawing she has ever made for him, saying that he appreciates her creativity, and despite her not drawing cute and wholesome pictures anymore, he would still like to be able to see the things that she makes, or at least just be someone she can talk to about things. There's a picture of a sleeping blue blob that she affectionately named Dave, some drawings she made of her and her brother, and some cute little hearts asking people to give love. Amber, feeling bad, opens her notebook and details the drawings and why she drew them. A lot of them have very bloody ideas behind them, like a lion thing that literally eats and vomits blood for no reason, or a bird thing that swoops down and stabs people. Again, she really likes drawing people being stabbed. She also colors in the pencil sketch she made at the beginning of the movie with crayon, showing Bowman's blood dripping everywhere in a puddle on the floor, and also the creature doing the stabbing is now purple. I will now be referring to this drawing as Purple Guy from FNAF, shortening it down to just Purple Guy in most instances. I think in an attempt at mending the past and present with her father, she takes the drawing of Sleepy Dave and adds legs and some sticker eyes and a googly eye, where she now says he stomps people to death. Fun. This reminds me of the fact my little sister, in her infinite iPad kiddom, I'm gonna call it that, talked about how she was going to kill people in ink games. She's so funny. I love her. She's my baby. Night falls and Taylor puts the kids to bed. At least he thinks he does when he goes to fall asleep himself. Jack checks on his father, conked out, before sneaking out of the house with the wooden box in his backpack. Amber, still awake and staring blankly out her window with her notebook in her lap, spots her brother running, very loudly, I must say. Like, that backpack is jingling and jangling, not because of keychains, but that's just how backpacks sound, because of all the zippers and whatever. Into the woods and follows him. At the pond, Jack unzips his backpack, carefully picking up the box as if it were made of the thinnest glass imaginable, before being startled by Amber asking what he's doing with their mom. That's right. This box everyone seems to be gazing longingly at is the cremated remains of their dead mother. You can guess what he was trying to do with them. Jack, worried, asks her what she's doing out of bed and if their father saw her, to which she retorts that he literally snuck out of the house and is now holding their dead mother's body. Bigger things to be worried about, I suppose. Still startled, Jack deflects once again, his concern growing as his sister continues to ask questions. And once again, Amber reacts with physical hostility. Not on purpose, in a form of aggression. She doesn't attack her brother. She goes to grab the box, still kind of yelling at him. I wouldn't say, she's very forward with what she believes in and wants. And right now, she wants that box and answers. In the ensuing struggle, Amber almost takes a tumble into the pond. And in another very older sibling move, TM, Jack instinctively rushes to save her, grabbing her while she teeters on the bank of the water where she drops her notebook. Knowing what this means, Jack carefully uses a branch to grab the notebook, worried of what could happen if Amber were to come into contact with the magic. And also because Amber's drawings fell into said magic. The pond begins to bubble and rumble, with Jack grabbing Amber and running back to the house where the two go to their rooms and sleep. Or at least they try to. You see, Amber hears tapping at her window, and Jack lays wide awake in bed, slightly trembling. Taylor finds his daughter hiding in her closet, since she was scared to sleep by the window, which is now covered in a strange yellow substance left there by whatever was tapping on the glass. Oh god! I made a Dear Evan Hansen joke! I haven't listened to that in years. What is wrong with me? And Jack is acting strangely. I just remembered what Amber got in trouble at school for. She was drawing on her arms with permanent marker, and it was not coming off. The lines on her arms, which she drew, they're tentacles. I think they look like tentacles, but Taylor says that people are going to get the wrong idea about her and the reasons why she's doing that. Which is also, pretty fair, actually. Still, doesn't help that he takes away her only form of coping, her drawings. But that's besides the point. I think that's also why Jack didn't want her to touch the water, because, that's probably not a good idea. In the morning, before the two go to school, Taylor overhears his daughter ask what was going on last night, since kids are terrible whisperers. To which, once again, Jack deflects. Not completely, though. He agrees they should probably talk about it. When Amber gets on the school bus, Taylor stops his son for a small chat about what they were talking about, telling him that whatever is bothering him, he can come to his dad about it. Jack spills really easily, telling him about the magic pond in Amber's drawings, to which Taylor, being an overwhelmed single father, reacts to with frustration. He's trying his best to be there for his kids, and they're joking to him about stuff like this? We know Jack was telling the truth, but his dad doesn't know what genre of movie they're in. So, taking his dad's reaction as a sign, he boards the bus and brushes his sister off once again. Bowman also joins in on the ensuing conversation, without being invited, by the way, and adds some unnecessary, albeit very kid of him, comments about how the roaring couldn't have been mountain lions, but they do have bobcats in the area, so it could be that. Jack rolls with this, despite Amber knowing he's lying to her. While en route to school, they find that nearby a gas station, which earlier in the movie was attacked by a mysterious purple drawing, but I didn't mention that, a car has been stopped in the road, with mysterious blue splotches lining the ground. The door to the car is open, and the radio is still playing music. In response to the car not moving, in a very normal child thought process, Bowman walks to the front and honks the horn because, again, the car isn't moving, and that's what the horn is for. He's really funny. My mom compared him to someone from the Goonies, but I am just a young lad, and I know nothing about that show. I am very sorry. The bus driver, while once again telling the kids to sit down in their seats, especially Bowman, tries to call the school or the bus company about the situation on the road before being interrupted by Sleepy Dave, of all things, rising from the cornfields on the side of the road and roaring glitter everywhere. The bus driver drops the very sick line of, "Okay, now you guys better be in your seats," before attempting to book it away from the big blue car smasher. But since Dave is much, much bigger than them, he catches up to them and the driver swerves to not have a head-on collision with the car in the road, crashing the bus into the cornfields from before. The kids are surprisingly calm considering they're being chased by what looks like a freshly cat-vomited hairball that was dusted with smoothie-grade spirulina, and they just got into a roadside accident. The group finds that the bus driver isn't responding, and after Bowman very loudly states that she's dead, because that's what happens when you get into a car crash and you stop moving, they find that she just passed out, likely due to shock. Sleepy Dave once again interrupts the conversation, peeking through the bus's back door, and since the front door won't open, the kids have to escape using the emergency exit. There's one slight problem though. Dave is banging on the top of the bus with his long-ass legs. Arms? ? And the kids have to hide between the seats. Amber panics. She knows this is Dave, and worse, she has no clue how to stop him. Putting their heads together, the kids deduce Dave falls asleep when a certain kind of music plays. Jack goes to get his phone, only to find that his bag slid to the back of the bus during the crash. He starts army crawling down the aisle to get it, but Dave's arm, I don't know. Is it his leg? Is it his arm? I'm gonna use it interchangeably. Crashes through the emergency exit before he can reach it. Luckily, another kid on the bus had an iPod, something that all the other kids chide him for not using in the first place. The kids start climbing out of the top of the bus, Bowman first, who then runs away from the group because these things were made by Amber, and Amber wants to kill him. Jack assures the other kids they'll be fine, and he's got them. And when it's Amber's turn to be lifted out, he tells her he's right behind her. In another unfortunate turn of events, the song on the iPod ends, playing very loud drums and guitar as the next track. At least that's what I remember. Awakening Dave. Judging the iPod kid for his unorganized playlist, they manage to all get out and start running from Dave, who once again takes chase. Also running, Bowman's adrenaline keeps him pushing further into the woods, trying to create as much distance between himself and the girl he very correctly presumes wants to kill him. There, he finds a weird-looking flower thing that he tries to shoo away, since it doesn't really seem hostile, but that thing turns out to be a huge snitch. It blares a loud siren that Amber has explained to be to tell the actual monster, a blind creature, where a target is. The big blind monster shows up, and Bowman just kinda stands there, but the monster is, once again, blind and only knows his approximate location, slamming its head nearby in an attempt to find and eat him. Right before it finally hits the battleship, Amber and Jack cheat by moving the boat, grabbing Bowman and pulling him into a nearby ravine. The flower snitch follows them again, and in a panic to keep them from being found and eaten, gets drowned and dissolved in the water. The kids' first idea was to waterboard the guy. During all of this, Taylor tries to make himself a cup of coffee, but when he leaves the room, the cup goes missing. Liz has taken the pictures down from the wall, once again telling her brother that he isn't doing a very good job at moving. Noticing the mess of coffee since the cup is gone, she tells him she'll clean the mess and that he has to go back to the van. Getting a phone call from the school, the connection between his phone and the car's speakers are shoddy at best, so he pats around looking for it before crashing the showing that Liz is having. Liz is less annoyed about this, he's worried about his kids after all, and calls his cell phone to help him find it. He looks around his room, hearing the ring echoing in the closet. He opens it and searches around in there, finding it alongside his mug. And you know what else he finds? Eiders. Spiders whose main body is made up of a big ol' eyeball. I gotta admit, I find these guys really cute. Taylor freaks out because what the hell is that? Was Jack telling the truth? Why is the school calling? And after embarrassing himself by tweaking out in his bedroom because an eider got on him and when he killed it, it exploded, he finds out the bus has crashed. Driving in the van from before, Liz asks him some questions, to which Taylor, very stressed and concerned, doesn't really have an answer. Arriving at the scene, we learn the other two kids from the bus are fine, but we have no clue where Dave is at now. Taylor, again extremely stressed, starts asking where his kids are, to which Liz states they're probably running back to the house. And would you look at that, the kids are in fact running back to the house. Bowman has a few smart comments, and Jack and Amber kinda have a little bonding moment over how annoying they find Bowman. That's so real. What's a better sibling bonding moment than both absolutely despising the same person? Shit talking really does bring the world together. Back at the house now, the kids start planning on how to take down the monsters, with Bowman talking about a big gun. When shot down, he talks about a bunch of smaller guns, because when you have to kill a big scary monster, you use a gun. The siblings don't like this idea, and they go through some other ones, eventually landing on... well, I'm not actually sure what it is. It looks like a beacon wand or something. I don't know. So the kids gear up, grabbing and presumably mixing a bunch of cleaning supplies with water. If the monsters don't kill them, then ammonia and mustard gas will, putting them into water guns to defend themselves against the chalk monsters. Heading out, Amber and Bowman both need to use the bathroom, so they don't actually head out. Bowman complains about not being the first one to go, with Jack telling him to use the one in his father's bedroom. Opening the door, the eiders have multiplied, and the room seems to be their nest. In a very smart move, Bowman closes the door. A few eiders get on him though, and Jack smacks the other boy around to kill them. Amber gets out of the bathroom, and I don't really remember what happens, but she trips, I think, and accidentally opens the door, letting the swarm of eiders out and absolutely covering her in the creepy crawlies. Bowman runs out of the house, much to Jack's annoyance, and he goes to save his sister, also getting absolutely covered in eiders. Side note, I took sailing classes when I was like 5, and there were so many spiders on the boats we used because 1, apparently they're perfect spider nesting grounds, and 2, the spiders used their webs to glide on the wind and land on the boat. It was absolutely awful. I know that shit is so uncomfortable, and this is not just because I have sensory issues, okay? Amber makes her way to the bathroom again, and after falling into the bathtub during a struggle, manages to turn on the shower, literally providing a cover of safety. Jack makes it to her, killing the rest of the eiders in the bathroom, and after locking the door, tells her that they can try to escape using the bathroom window. To which Bowman bursts through the window with the hose, going around and absolutely decimating the eider population throughout the house, before slipping and falling because the floor is wet. The rest of the eiders take this opportunity to swarm him, but the siblings save him using the extendable kitchen faucet. The kids sit there, exhausted and covered in eider guts, before leaving once again to enact their plan to stop the monsters. Also, during the whole scene with the kids in the house, we learn the reason why Amber was asking if she's an orphan, because Bowman's been calling her an orphan. To which Bowman replies that he thinks orphans are cool. All superheroes are orphans. And they have a little back and forth about which superheroes aren't orphans, one of which they think is the Hulk, to which Bowman once again has a smart-ass comment saying we never see his parents. It's really funny. We also learn that Bowman kind of thinks of Amber as a witch, which he also thinks is cool, but he is very scared of her now. But we also learn that he has a crush on her. And I'm going to talk about this later, but this goes back into gender roles, okay? Keep this in mind. Shout out Flaw Peacock. It's a YouTuber, okay? I'm not saying I'm not saying the other one. Liz also echoes the question on if the kids are in fact orphans. They're maternal orphans. When she and her brother make it back to the house. Before this, though, when the two are on the road and racing back, Liz very correctly assumes that her brother is trying to hide his suffering from his kids. She talks about the reason why Amber is so distant. She doesn't feel like anyone else is as upset as she is. Another instance of a pond creature ruining a driver's day, the cat from the cover of Amber's notebook saunters into the middle of the road, causing the two to also swerve. Getting out, Taylor warns his sister of the eldritch cat, which looks pretty normal now, and she ignores the warning and finds out, yes, the cat is indeed eldritch. She's impressed with how the cat looks, though, to which Taylor tells her that Amber only drew the tentacles and the screaming part. Checks out. Walking a ways now, Liz goes back to talking about the kids' mother, who we learn to be named Allie. I think this is the only time in the movie we hear her name. That in itself is brought up, by the way. Taylor can't say her name. He can't even look at her, or else he'll break down, and he knows that. And he can't do that to his kids. He can't have them lose another parent, this one to grief. They have a more lighthearted moment where Liz asks if the kids have said Allie's name, to which Taylor responds that they call her Mom. When the two finally arrive back at the house, the kids have already gone on their expedition into the woods. But with the house looking like a horror movie murder scene, Liz opts to call the police instead and wait. The two continue the conversation about how Allie's death has affected the family, and Taylor realizes how his attempts to keep the kids' lives normal has stopped them from having any real conversations about their mother's death. No one in the family has had time to process it and actually feel their grief. Amber can't, not when everyone else in her life acts as though nothing is different. That's why she lashes out. Jack instinctively follows his father, and his father isn't coping well. Speaking of Amber lashing out and no one coping well at all, Amber falls during their run in the woods. Jack stops to help her up and give her a little pep talk, and she yells at him, asking why he keeps pushing. Bowman interrupts the sibling's speech, talking about how he didn't come this far just to stop now. Amber wanted him dead? Fine. But now Amber wants the monsters to stop, right? Amber knows these things. Bowman doesn't. He's terrified. He's pissed himself 2 times. Never mind. What he's saying is that she can react however she likes, but she has to follow through in the end, even if she feels scared and angry. Amber, still a bit miffed, gets up and the 3 continue their trek into the woods. I think Bowman specifically in this moment, being the one who says these things to her, is really important. He doesn't say, oh, this is all your fault, you're the worst. He says, these are your drawings. You were the one who drew them. Now we have to do something about this. And I think that's important. Okay? He doesn't really blame her, but he does put responsibility onto her. And he's not someone in her family. He's an outsider, basically. Specifically an outsider that she hates. I think that's fascinating. I really think that the writing in this movie is just so good. I'll get to that in my analysis. So again, my memory is not the best, and the exact details and order of the movie is not very well in my brain. And I've been pausing recording because I have to cough, and I've been doing multiple takes because of that. So, yeah. And I made this in less than 24 hours. Ha! The kids go to the pond where they find Purple Guy from FNAF doodling in a bunch of blank notebooks and tossing the monsters into the pond, where they crawl out and then just run away, presumably to go ruin someone else's lives. The kids are obviously very scared of this. They thought they only had to deal with the monsters that Amber herself made, but now this monster is making other monsters. Purple Guy from FNAF reference. And Bowman, literally being the best character in the movie, I'm sorry, I think he's the best character, says, I know this one. That's the one that you drew killing me. Don't even worry about it. You guys get the stuff to the pond. I'll distract it, okay? I'm what it wants. He's so funny. Amber, in a sad little reveal, says that that's her. That's how she thinks of herself. Or, well, that's what the others presume, and she doesn't really deny it. And Jack, angry that she thinks of herself this way, pulls out the drawing of her and him, with him holding a diamond sword, and tells her that she draws beautiful things. She draws creative things. She draws wholesome things. And even if she drew those things, who cares? It's great. I really like the art kid trope in this movie. I wouldn't say trope. I don't know how to put it. And Bowman, again, he goes, he taunts the thing because he's the #1 rage baiter, and it works. The Purple Guy starts sauntering over to kill another child, what's new? But all the monsters from before come, I wouldn't say crawling, I wouldn't say running either, but they come over, and Bowman is like, ah, shit. Here we go again. And he starts running, because that's what he does. He knows his limits. Good for him. And the two run back. The siblings run to the pond, and they're stopped. Amber is stopped by Purple Guy, and she doesn't have an actual weapon. That's why she was running to the pond. But now, she can't make it there. And Jack reassures her that even if she doesn't have the weapon, she can draw whatever. And her infinite creative wisdom, realizes that since the markers, the markers that the monster, that Purple Guy was drawing with, are actually dried up, she can just dip her arms in the water. She drew on her arms, remember? She has tentacles on her arms. So now she has a really cool fucking tentacle arm thing. It looks awesome, in my humble opinion. Which she uses to kill Purple Guy from FNAF. Again, what's new? Purple Guy getting killed by the kids he was tormenting by basically getting himself ripped out, ripped apart from the inside out. Very, very FNAF-y. I'm gonna be honest, I've never actually played a FNAF game. I don't even watch video essays on it, but it's so deep into pop culture and media that I just gotta make the joke about it. Speaking of, Jack saw a drawing that Amber made, something that she showed her dad, which is a drawing of her and her brother, with her brother holding a diamond sword, which is green, but she drew it that way, okay? It's the frickin' diamond sword from Minecraft. Get over it, Bowman! And he rips the diamond sword out of the drawing and dips it into the pond, having a weapon that he can also use to protect his sibling. And I think that's beautiful. By the way, earlier in the movie, they show him, 1, playing Minecraft, and also 2, making a bunch of Minecraft references when referring to how they're going to kill all of the monsters. He's like, actually, I don't know anything about Minecraft either. Man, I'm a fucking loser. He talks about how there's a command where you can kill all types of one monster. And yeah, they make a Legend of Zelda reference too. Bowman made that reference. God bless his soul. He really is the best character. Oh yeah, speaking of Bowman, while he's running away from the monsters that Purple Guy made, I'm going to be referring to these ones as the sketchies, because they're entirely black and they're the sketchiest of them all because they're made by another drawing. And the drawing doesn't really have hands. So it's kind of like, I don't know how to explain it other than that. I'm just going to call them the sketchies from now on. So Bowman's getting chased by some of the sketchies and trips and falls, to which he is saved by Liz and Taylor. The two were being led there into the forest by a butterfly. While at the house, they heard tapping on the window, to which, in a very terrible move if you're in a horror movie, in my opinion, go to check what it is, opening the blinds, and they see that the weird yellow gunk on Amber's window has been the butterfly in its chalky Crayola crayon, I'm not really sure what it's made out of, form, knocking on the window to try and show her, Amber, I'm assuming, now the parent and Liz, where the kids are, or how to save, how to finish things, how to save the day. And that's, the butterfly was a tattoo that AZALI had. Earlier in the movie, I just remembered again, when the kids, after the special plate was broken, it was Amber asking what to do because Jack drew a butt on her face. There's a lot of butt jokes with drawings by Jack. Unimportant. And the mom draws on Amber's face where the butt is and turns it into a butterfly so that they're matching. Oh my god. And Obviously, it's not like, oh, the butterfly was like the reincarnation of their dead mother. No, but it's the thought and the heart and the grief and the appreciation of her life that ends up saving everyone, that ends up bringing it. Oh, it's so good. No, I have to actually get back to the story. Where was I? So Taylor asks Bowman which kid he is. Which kid are you? Who are you? And Bowman responds, I don't know, who are you? But more importantly, Taylor asks where his kids are, to which Bowman responds, who are your kids? They're Jack and Amber. Oh! And then it cuts back to the siblings again. It's great, okay? It's great. Please go watch the movie. I know I keep saying that, but seriously. I think this video is going to come out the day it's released. In the US, at least. Heart emoji. And Liz with a weed whacker. I think it's a weed whacker. It's like a weed whack. It's like one of those long saws. It's not a chainsaw. I don't know how to explain it. It's like a saw weed whacker, okay? You know Corin from Zenless Zone Zero? God, I'm really showing how much of a loser I am. It's kind of like what she uses. It's still a chainsaw. She still uses a chainsaw, right? Never mind. Oh my god. She looks so gorgeous. I can't even. She's so cool. Liz is... I know how I'm saying Bowman's the best character, but Liz... never mind. Taylor runs further into the woods, finding Amber. And they have a little conversation where he's a little freaked out about her tentacle arms or whatever. But eventually, Amber says, well, she doesn't say, but she tells him to wait and look at what's about to happen. All of the drawings that Amber drew for her father originally, before she started drawing the morbid stuff, is being thrown into the pond to counteract all of the terrible morbid things that Amber has drawn. And it works. However, there is a huge, like, kind of chalk storm. It's really beautiful, mind you. It's a rainbow of smoke barreling in towards them as the power of the drawings is released because of the magic in the pond. And we see more sketchies getting absolutely demolished. We see eiders getting eaten by the hearts that are asking them for their love. Give me your love! Me on a Saturday night after my girlfriend has yelled at me. I don't have a girlfriend. I don't know why I said that. Anyways, so before we get into the ending, I actually want to start the analysis. Because the ending in itself really ties the whole thing together. Kind of the point, I know, but yeah. Also, like, more than half this video isn't even scripted. Because I'm sick and I only had like 2 days to make this, I was like, okay, I don't have the time. Whatever, I'm gonna just ramble. Because what's better in a video essay than rambling? Heart emoji. Let's start with the way each member of the family copes with Allie's death. Amber, as the movie states in the beginning, deals with her emotions by drawing. When she's mad at someone, she draws them getting stabbed. It's always stabbing. I don't know what to think about that. She has monsters that crush and eat people, but the ones that are always shown explicitly attacking people are always stabbing them. There's probably a theory that her mother was stabbed to death or something. Like, I don't really think that. Maybe stabbing is just her special interest, like how isekais are obsessed with the infamous truck-kun. I've never watched an isekai now that I think about it. She says that when she draws them, she doesn't want to go through with the act herself or even feel angry anymore. She actually expresses and processes her feelings, albeit in a way everyone else finds a bit horrifying. But at least she's feeling them, showing them. But this isn't because she understands them. She's temperamental, she doesn't accept help, and she often fantasizes about violence as a first option before deciding to get it out by drawing. She's so Mikoto. She's also angry. At both herself and her family, I think. I think she's mad at her family because why aren't they upset like she is? Why aren't they as upset as she is? Why are they trying so hard to change her? Why can't they just leave her alone? But she's also mad at herself because why is she so angry? Why can't she move on? Why does she keep hurting herself and others? Why does she keep doing things she knows will cause problems? There's no clear answer, but that's the point. Humans, especially children, are complicated creatures with hypocritical tendencies. She has no understanding outside of, I feel upset and I draw and I feel better. She externalizes her feelings with no way to externalize her actual thoughts on the matter. Jack deals with his grief by overcompensating. He tries to help his sister because he knows she's hurting, and she's the only one that'll admit that, so of course he knows. But also, he knows because he's hurting too. The reason why Amber reacts with such anger whenever he's just trying to cheer her up is because he isn't doing it he is doing it to make her feel better, but he forces it on her. This will help. You have to take this, you have to do this. This is going to help. This will make you feel better. He doesn't like explicitly say that, but that's basically what he's communicating to her. And despite all of that, he never really blames Amber for anything. He never blames her for breaking the plate, only slapping his hands. He never blames her for following him into the woods, for grabbing the box. He understands why she does those things. And while he's upset about them, he knows it does nothing to lash out about it. But also, he doesn't want to make things worse. He doesn't want to make her even more upset. He's supposed to fix things. He's not supposed to make them worse. But also, he doesn't let himself get or even feel upset, because that's what he's supposed to do as her older brother. Jack forgets that he's a person too, that he's allowed to feel his own emotions instead of latching on to his sister's. He unintentionally suffocates her because, as stated in the movie, all he wants to do is fix things. And he gets this from his father, Taylor. Taylor even admits it himself. He won't let himself feel sad or be vulnerable in front of his kids because he's their dad and they just lost their mom. He can't break down because then who will the kids have to lean on? He's supposed to be the strong figure in their lives, and Jack, understanding this as a role he must take on as another male in the family, mirrors him. He can't be sad. He has to fix things. He has to do this for Amber, for their mom. It's unintentional Jack feels this way. His dad never did anything to enforce gender stereotypes on his son. But the simple fact that he is his father's son made him susceptible to this idea. Taylor tries so hard to move on, to not let the kids fall, that he doesn't give himself time to grieve. We never get told why they're moving, but by the end of the movie, they end up not following through, so I'm pretty sure it was due to the memories of AZALI being too much for him. He can't even say her name. But the specifics of why he would choose to sell the house isn't exactly known, what his actual excuse was, etc., etc. But by the end of the movie, we see Taylor admit his mistakes, that he should have allowed himself, and by extension, Jack, to grieve. That there was nothing to fix because there was nothing any of them could have, or even now, could do. The wooden box that held Allie's ashes was broken. We're never shown when. And Jack's voice breaks as he apologizes to his father. We're not shown his face, but his hands are balled into fists and he's trembling. And Taylor gets on his knees, giving him a hug and also apologizing, saying Jack did nothing wrong. All he wanted to do was help. Oh my god. Shout out Arcane, League of Legends. League of Legends, no, but Arcane specifically, yeah. Where Jack is apologizing to his father for messing things up, for breaking the box, that all he wanted to do was help, that all he wanted to do was fix things. Reminds me a lot of Powder. It's completely different. She friggin' blew up her whole family on accident. Well, not on accident. She let a bomb loose and the bomb exploded. That's what bombs do. But Jack, all he wanted to do was bring his mom back. And then all he wanted to do was help his sister. He wants to mend his family's broken wounds. He wants to make everyone feel better because he has to fix things. And he he broke their mom's urn. Her ashes sprawled out on the grass on the bank of the pond. And it's so depressing to me. I get really emotional about kids' pain, like children specifically, because I bring it up a lot, but I'm an older sibling myself, and I think it, at least for me, it really helps that my little sister is almost a decade younger than me, so I'm not like annoyed by her presence. She's just a baby. She's my baby. It's I always imagine what I would do or how I would feel if my little sister was the kid in the situation. This happens like in real life too. I try not to get annoyed or mad at kids because they honestly don't know better. What they're doing is always an attempt at trying to make things better, even if it doesn't seem like that. Kids get into fights because there's a perceived slight, and they have to basically restore their or someone else's honor. That's a really dramatic way to put it, but from what I've seen, it's true. And at this point in the movie, they obviously haven't gotten over their mom's death, but they've acknowledged it. They acknowledged that what they were doing in the first place was wrong. That the ways they were coping with it were wrong. Amber doesn't say anything, but she and her weird-ass tentacle arms also join in on the hug. She doesn't say anything, I don't think, but I think that's the point. Amber was the only one, again, who ever expressed her feelings. So the fact that she doesn't need to apologize about it, or she doesn't feel the need to, I think that's really important. Jack never admits that he's hurting because, again, he has to focus on everyone else around him, and then he can get to himself. Again, with the bus scene. And Taylor echoes this sentiment, or rather, Jack Jack echoes this sentiment off of his father. And they do go into how gender affects the way kids see their parents. They will latch on to the parent of which they won't latch on per se, but they will take a lot of traits from the parent of which they share a gender with. In this case, Jack and Taylor, son and father. And Amber lost her mom, and she's always been an artist. She doesn't have a mom to talk about her feelings with. Also, this is gonna sound really weird, but in the scene with the eiders where Amber turns on the faucet in the shower to get all the eiders off of her, they're red, by the way. They drain into the tub and it looks like blood. And that, I don't know, that made me think about how she's going to go. Oh god. I was doing so good so far. Why did my throat do this to me? And that made me think about, she's going to be so confused when she hits puberty. She doesn't have a mom to explain these things to her. She has her aunt. Don't get me wrong. I love Liz. Actually, I don't think anyone would get that wrong. I think I've made it very clear that I love Liz. But it's not the same. Jack has his dad. Amber doesn't have her mom. I'm not sure if that was like intentional, but that was kind of weird to me, actually. Whatever. Oh god. Oh, this movie is so good. Hold on. Okay, all better chat. Speaking of gender roles and the way they inform decisions, Bowman having a crush on Amber, low-key does make sense. He wants to get her attention, so he does what any annoying kid would do. He annoys the fuck out of her! Amber! Oh, you're drawing something? Let me see. Amber, why aren't you paying attention to me? And then he pulls her hair. Amber! Bro, he's annoying. But he's annoying in a way that makes sense. He's not annoying for the sake of having an annoying character. Because there's often times where there's just like a bratty kid in a movie. Bowman is... He's the smartest and dumbest kid in the movie. He doesn't know when to shut his mouth, and he's very blunt. He says what he thinks, even when he's wrong. And then he acknowledges and knows when he's wrong, and he makes up for it in his actions. During the bus crash scene, he honks the horn because that's what you do when a car on the road in front of you isn't moving. He loudly states that the bus driver is dead because she's not moving and they literally just got into a bus crash. That's what happens. He's wrong, but we get why he's saying those things, and he's not doing that to be annoying. He's doing those things because he doesn't have a filter. And it's not out of malice either. He's saying it because that's what he's thinking. He gives his ideas even if nobody asks, but you know, sometimes that's a pro. Sometimes not. In most social situations, not. But they're not in a regular, normal social situation. They're being chased by crazy monsters created by Amber and Purple Guy from FNAF. He knows the crazy murder drawings are because of Amber, and knowing that she hates him and honestly wants him dead, he runs away from her. He figures out that the orange creature is blind and doesn't really worry about it since it has to feel around to get his exact location. He sees the eiders in Taylor's bedroom and closes the door to keep them contained. When they get out, he immediately runs to find the hose, albeit he does look like an asshole during it because it just looks like he's running off again. He's the first one to have an idea for a weapon, that being a gun, because, again, what's better for killing things than a big gun? He comes up with a plan to distract Purple Guy, since he knows that the drawing Purple Guy comes from specifically depicts him dying. He also, again, knows when to run. But he also acknowledges that the ways he's been trying to get Amber's attention is wrong. Jack also acknowledges that the whole, oh, he does that because he likes you thing is really stupid. And later on, Bowman asks Amber to be his girlfriend, to which Amber replies very, very sternly, no! And I think that's great, because even though Bowman is a very endearing character, even though he has saved her on more than one occasion, and even though he's basically redeemed himself in her eyes, that doesn't warrant reciprocation for romantic feelings. And Bowman even takes this like a champ. He just says, all right. And then he continues kicking butt because he's the best character in the whole damn movie. I think sibling dynamics are also a huge thing in this movie. We're not really told who the older sibling and who the younger sibling is between both Amber and Jack and Liz and Taylor. Me personally, Jack, I think Jack is the older brother, Amber's the young, and it makes sense. I don't know if it's explicitly stated. I don't think it is, but that's just what I think. And for Liz and Taylor, I think Liz is the older sibling, okay? I also enjoy how they acknowledge that Taylor is not some big macho man. He's confused and he's stressed, and despite it all, he's trying, and he isn't trying to force things on his kids, even if he unintentionally does by not talking about Allie, by taking down her pictures. He does it all because he thinks that's the best way for him as a parent to live with this, to be there for his kids. But to be there for his kids have to be able to talk to him about those things. Oh god, this movie is so good! Ugh! Yeah, I really do love this movie. Gender isn't a really big thing about it. I just had a few notes on it. It's, so good. So good. I really like that despite Bowman asking her out, Amber still says no, and Bowman takes it like a champ. I'm sorry, a lot of shows and movies will often be like, fine, I guess I'll go out on a date with you. God bless. God bless that they did not go through with this. I mean, through with that trope. I hate that trope. I think it's stupid. And again, the kids in this movie are literally so real all the damn time. They talk like kids. They're moody and annoying like kids. They act like kids would in the situations they're in. Again, the honking at the car because it won't move and that's what you're supposed to do, or making a big gun because we need to destroy these guys in this big gun. Yeah, shout out Bowman once again. They say things the way they understand it. They make comments at inopportune times. They get angry and slap things out of each other's hands. And they also apologize when they realize they've caused someone pain. They run when things get scary, and they have stupid ideas based on video games and TV shows about how to deal with the situations they find themselves in. They're kids and they're human beings. We understand what, how, and why they think the things they do. We see their perspective on the world and also the one-of-a-kind situation they're in. It's really great. And though movies, I find, don't do a very good job at we understand where they're coming from, even if we don't agree with them. Like, we can sympathize with them even if we don't agree with them. Because in this case, they're kids. We understand what they're doing, and even if we don't agree with them, it's not like we're gonna be like, oh, well, that's morally reprehensible. They're like 10. It's, And the fact that they treat the kids like actual people instead of as just plot devices or as an extension of their parent is really nice. And when they do have the kid as an extension of their parent, it's a commentary about that. God, this movie is so fire! And this is just not important to the analysis, but it's nothing related to what I'm talking about in the story. But the child actors for the Wyatt siblings, Bianca Bell and Q Lawrence, are super talented. It doesn't feel like they're acting. They have an understanding of what their characters are doing and feeling, and that's kind of hard for young children to fully grasp. And again, I'm saying this as an older sibling, as a babysitter, as a tutor myself. I also like how Amber has some moles and Jack has freckles. I don't know why. I just think they're very sibling for that. Oh, and shout out Bowman's actor, Callan Cox. He understood the assignment. He's very funny. Bowman, best boy. Thank you. Anyways, so I think that's all I have to say about this movie. It's a great commentary into grief, into family dynamics, and into just kids, into how kids think, how kids see the world, how they interact with each other. The people who wrote the movie understand. The cast understands. Everyone in the production understood what they were doing. And you can really feel that throughout the whole movie. It's beautiful for that. And this is not to do some, promotion or whatever, but one of the trailers for another movie by the same production company, Angel, I saw was about a high school senior who got expelled, and when he's 59, he returns years later to both finish his high school for the sake of, just finishing it. He's a dad now, too. And he goes back to high school and he rejoins the football team. And he wrecks it out there. But he also has his fair share of problems. He's 59. He has health problems. He's going back to high school. And I also really like how, in the trailer at least, all the dudes on the team are really, really accepting of him. And they think he's cool. And he is. He gives advice. He absolutely wrecks it on the field. And I got all of this just from a trailer. And it seemed very wholesome. And it made me really happy. And I just learned that Angel is known for making progressive Christian films, whatever that means. I don't really care for it, the progressive Christian part, because I don't think that's the part that matters. I think the part that matters is they know how to make you care. They know how to make you feel. They know how people are. And they know why people are. And I think that's really important. So yeah, go watch Sketch. I'm not sure what the movie is called. I think it's called The Senior. I haven't watched that. I might. I'm not even into sports. I don't even know how American football works. But they got me invested in this. They got me to feel this 59-year-old's pain. They got me to feel the pain of losing a parent in Sketch when I haven't lost a parent yet. And I'm going to go into like a little bit of a tangent / rant. I was about to say, I was mixing tangent and rant, so I was about to say tant. Love, I'm just rambling. This part isn't scripted. A lot of this video isn't scripted, actually. I think you can tell because I have a lot of pauses in places. It's whatever, though. But when I was 10, my grandma died. And I was very close to her. She died of cancer. And there was, while she had cancer and she was still alive, I read the book Kira Kira by Cynthia Kadohata. Oh, Kadohata. Yeah, Kadohata. And in it, I learned about the Japanese myth. I'm not sure what to call it. The Japanese story about how if you fold 1,000 paper cranes, you get one wish. And me and my friends, we were folding those goddamn paper cranes. And we made it to 462, I think. And my grandma got better. And so we stopped making them. I think that was a mistake. I think we were almost at the halfway point. And speaking of progressive Christian, whatever, I'm not particularly religious, but I think in that case, it was something like God's gift for making it to the halfway point. But since we stopped, we didn't get it fully. And she got cancer again, way worse. Well, she didn't get cancer again, the cancer resurfaced. And there was nothing that could be done about it. And I remember feeling exactly how Amber does, exactly how Amber did. I remember reacting the same way too. Not drawing people getting murdered. I didn't do that, but I lashed out. I got mad because they said she was better. The doctors said she was cancer-free. My grandma was getting better. And now she's sitting in a hospital bed, dying, and she can't even speak. It was really hard for me. And what makes me even sadder is my little sister. She was a toddler at the time. She was not even really conscious. Doesn't remember my grandma, obviously, because she was so young, but what she does remember is how upset I was about it. And I don't know. The age difference between Jack and Amber is way different than me and my little sister. But yeah, this movie made me think a lot. About some stupid stuff, about some introspective stuff. But movies that make you think about things are great. Especially if they're things you don't really think about, but you know are important. yeah, please go watch Sketch. This is my first video essay, and this is my first video in like, I don't know how many years. Too many. I'm going to say like 6. This is my first video in 6 years on this channel. I've been posting more on my voice acting channel, where I'm going to transfer some of those videos to this channel because it's about my 3D model. It's me using my 3D VTuber model. But yeah, movie's great. You should go watch it. Coming out August 6th. I think I'm going to finish this video like right before August 6th. It came out originally in 2024, actually September 7th, 2024 in Canada. But now is the American release. Go watch it. Rah!